Hello, today I'd like to talk about three pieces of software from three different companies. To be more specific, we'll talk about Custom GPTs from OpenAI, Perplexity Spaces, and also Gemini Gems from Google. They're completely separate entities, but at the same time, they do pretty much similar things. So I wanted to go over each one, do a specific use case test, and then compare them using AI to see what the output looks like and what they generate, and kind of talk a little bit about some of the benefits and some of the drawbacks of each one and see which one comes out the winner. Okay, so this is our standard ChatGPT window. Let's open up the panel on the side. And when we open it up, you see we have all kinds of different things on there on the left side here. And it starts out with these custom GPTs that I set up myself. And so if you want to create a new one, you got to scroll all the way down. If you have 100 of them, you have to scroll through 100 of them. And then you click on Explore GPTs. And then when you click on that, then you get this display that shows you various different custom GPTs other people did. You can click on the link up here that says My GPTs to see yours, or create a new one by clicking on Create. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to click on Create. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just enter a few parameters. So to refresh everybody's memory here, Custom GPT is simply a smaller version of ChatGPT, usually done for a specific purpose or reason. So what do I mean by that? I mean that you can create a GPT that specifically handles your particular task or need. For example, I created a custom GPT for a Stoic site. You know, they talk about all kinds of stuff with Stoicism, things like that. So it was specifically trained, in other words, that's the custom part of it, to be dealing with Stoics' approach to life, you know, Stoics' history, things like that. So you could even ask a question like, you know, help me with sales or something like that. And it will actually give you specific information about that. In this case here, for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to go to all the details on all of these things. I'm just going to go and show you what's the basic way to create a custom GPT, and then we'll use it a little bit so you can see how it works, and then we're going to move on to the other products to compare it to. We can click on the little plus sign to upload a photo, or you can use DALL-E. And let's say we use my monkey, my favorite little monkey, as the little icon for it. And then we can put in the name. So let's say we'll do Tesla news. And here I'm going to say latest news on what's happening with Tesla. So let's say we put that in there. And then for the instructions, this is the key, the meat, basically, of this custom GPT. That's where you actually tell it what you want it to do and how you want it to work. So in our case, I'm going to say, please take a look at the latest Tesla news. Show me an overview summary, no more than 500 words. Also show current stock price for Tesla, and if there's any compelling and meaningful takeaways, please put them into a concise bulleted list. I think that's pretty good right there. Let's not go too crazy here. And so we got bullet list, all that. So let's say we go with this as a starting point. I'm just going to get an overview of what's going on about Tesla, also get the stock price and bulleted list of takeaways. That's basically what I want to do. In terms of conversation starters, that's completely optional. I could put in something like, we'll just say something like, go ahead. And that simply means that when I click on there'd be a button that says go ahead, as you can see here, right down here on the right side there. The idea being that all I have to do is click on it. I don't have to type anything. Because normally when you start a chatbot, like ChatGPT, it doesn't actually do anything by default initially unless you put something in instructions to have it do something when it starts up. But since I didn't, it's not going to do anything. So I have to create some kind of a trigger for it to start the execution. So that's what I put in this button called go ahead. I could call it, do it, execute, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter. It just means it's going to start doing what it's supposed to do. And if you wanted to have some specific other things that you wanted to ask, it's no different than simply typing the same thing in a chatbot. It just makes it easier because it's a button. So again, optional. You can have a few of them if you want. And then they have the knowledge, which is the capability of uploading files that have additional information. Like, for example, I could upload information about my car, and then in terms of details, the model, the manufacturer, all of that. Then in this particular custom GPT, I could actually type in what kind of accessories would you recommend for my car. It would know then from this uploaded file from knowledge base that what kind of car I have, because otherwise it doesn't have a clue. It doesn't know what kind of car I have. But this way I'm telling it what kind of car I have, and then it'll be able to address it accordingly without me specifying multiple times. So basically it's custom information you can give to custom GPT, and it'll use that information as well in its responses. And then at the bottom here it shows capabilities. So it's things like web search, which usually I leave on. Canvas I don't need for this. DALL-E I don't need for this. And I don't need code interpreter and data analysis. So basically the only thing I really need is web search. Why would you not turn everything on? Probably because you're just wasting resources and there's no need for them. You're never going to use them, so why turn them on? And then you have the actions, which is more advanced basically feature. We're not going to go into it today. So basic setup of custom GPT is what you see right there. Okay? So now for me to try it out, if I go ahead and say create, it's going to go ahead. I'm going to make it see only me. Okay, so once it's done, it says settings saved, and it shows me the URL directly to this GPT, which I can copy and put in emails, put in online, wherever I want to put it, I can do it. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on View GPT so we can actually play with it. And so here, when it starts up, it looks like this. It doesn't have the panel usually. It looks just like that. And then at this point, I can type something like you normally would with ChatGPT, or I can just click and go ahead. And even though I didn't specify anything specifically in this session, it knows based on these custom instructions exactly what to do. That's what makes these custom GPTs so useful, is because you can train them to do things based on how you want and what you want. That's kind of, like I said, like a mini GPT specifically for a particular purpose. In my case, I wanted to get, so there is the information on Tesla stock, where it's at, and then it's got recent developments. It's got these bulleted points about what's important, takeaways. So there's my list of takeaways, and it's got some additional link here to video resources. So it gives you quite a bit of information based on even small prompt I gave it. And so at any point in time, I can bring it up on any day, click on that, go ahead, and it's going to create something like this for me automatically. I can look at the range of how the stock did before. It's nice that they have all of this interactive stuff built in and working really nicely. I can also ask it anything else. What does Elon think of latest developments? And basically it'll come back, and based on that, I don't have to necessarily say things related to this particular topic. I could ask it anything I want that ChatGPT can respond to. So, it gave me a response there. If I want, I can say, give me a, let's see, what would be an unrelated question. How about tuna salad sandwich recipe? Clearly has nothing to do with the topic at hand here, but you can see that it's going to go ahead and give me the recipe anyway. So the bottom line is, yes, it's just like regular ChatGPT, but you're able to make it more specific for a particular topic or a particular reason that's important to you, and then you can just use it all the time for this purpose. And it's fairly easy, as you can see, to set up, fairly easy to deal with. The only thing it doesn't do a good job right now is generating images on the fly. The latest developments allow you to generate images, but when I tell it to generate an image directly from Custom GPT, it just tries to create it, tries to create links, tries to do all kinds of things, but it doesn't actually show you the image. So hopefully they'll fix it. But for the most part, that's basically how you do custom GPTs using OpenAI's ChatGPT. With that said, let's move on to Perplexity Spaces. Okay, so here we are in Perplexity, and we're going to use one of their spaces. And to make things kind of even-handed, let's go ahead and use the same exact prompt we used in Custom GPT to do Perplexity as well. So in Perplexity, they have these things called spaces right there, little icon there. And if you click on it, it's going to give you to your existing spaces and some of their own that they set up. And then also you can create your own. So it's very similar to basically what Custom GPTs did. So we create our own space. When you create a space, it says give me a title. We're going to give it a title, Tesla news of the day or something. And description, show the latest info on Tesla and its stock. So let's see if it will do the same thing. And then the custom instructions here, again, it's exactly the same kind of approach like we did before. So custom instructions, even though you don't have to give them, obviously we want to. So I'm going to paste the same thing we did in the custom GPT, so things are kind of even-handed. And over here on the right side, you can click on the little plus and add the emoji icon. Over here, you cannot select images like custom GPT allows you. You can only select from emojis. So we'll put in, I don't know, some kind of emoji to stand out. Okay, so then you click continue. So it's kind of a little different, but very similar. And then when you get it actually done, like I'm done right here, then on the right hand side you can see the details where you got your instructions, and you can click here on the button to edit them. And then over here it says files, and if you click on it, you can add here files just like the knowledge section of Custom GPT. So that's very similar. You can also add links, so it has reference to specific websites. I haven't actually used links, but you can do that to have some reference if you need to. Okay, so now that we've got it basically set up, we can go ahead and just type in something. I'm going to type in go ahead. As you can see, one of the things it doesn't have is the ability to have these custom buttons. So to launch it, you have to indicate something. You have to engage the thing by manually typing something. And then it goes ahead and it says, okay, it doesn't do it. Okay, so let's do this. Let's change it to say, start with the latest info every time a user types go ahead. So basically what I'm telling it is that I'm going to type the words go ahead manually, and I want it to launch into its own thing as opposed to be doing a search in whatever I type. Okay, that's the idea. So I'm going to go ahead and say go ahead, and this is what we get back. So it's basically not giving me anything even close to what the other one did. It says, as of my last, I do not have real-time access to stock prices. And basically you can see that the response here is nowhere near as good, but it definitely has its uses. One of the things I did, as I alluded in other videos, I mentioned this space I set up for showing the weather using comments from the comedian Bill Burr as an example. So I put in the word weather, and then it comes up with something that looks like this. So actually you can see that it's got the weather report, all this stuff here. If you read it, you can see that the thing has a bunch of humor in it. And so what we'll do is go to the third victim in this particular project, which is going to be Gemini Gems. The same concept. You're trying to create a smaller version of a chatbot specific for a particular task or particular reason, topic, whatever you want to call it. So in this case, we come here, and at the bottom left here we have something called Gem Manager. So you select that under the Gems category, and this brings us here, and then we can click on New Gem, and then we're going to call it Tesla News, and the instructions will be the same just to keep it even. And if we look in there, we can see that we also have ability to put in a knowledge base of some sort, so we can add files here. And on the right side here we've got the name, and we can actually preview it, and it doesn't have anything else you can play with. So basically that's pretty much all you can do here, is just put in the name and put in the custom instructions, add knowledge base if you need to. So let's go ahead and save it. It says it's been created, start chat. So if I just type and go ahead, see what it'll do. Let's go ahead and use just 2.0 Flash. Once you initiate it, you can see it says Tesla News Summary, and it's got a bunch of different things here. Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, it seems like it's fairly decent. Shows the right stock price, key takeaways. So it does this part just fine. Now we can compare results from all three of these and see what AI thinks is the best result of all three of these in terms of using it on a permanent basis. Obviously it's a small particular example, but it's still an example, still a use case. As you can see, in terms of setting them up, it's very simple. Practically it takes a couple of minutes to set it up in any of them. So that's not a problem at all. In terms of details, you can specify. All of them allow you to provide custom knowledge, put in basic custom instructions. Those are kind of the main things that all three of them have. As long as you select the right Gemini model, then it'll do the job the way it's supposed to do it. Okay, now that we've gone through all of that, let's go ahead and try to come up with some sort of conclusion. So I put together a document that has all the results from all these three trials. I'm going to drop them into here, into Claude, and I'm going to say, please examine the three outputs attached and show me an overview of what they are, positives and negatives for each, and compare their validity and come up with a clear winner as the best tool to use. So let's go ahead and do that, see what it comes up with. So we got some positives, negatives, okay, Gemini Gems. Okay, and then so finally it shows various different aspects of each one in terms of information specificity, breadth of coverage, citation quality. So it says clear winner. Gemini Gems provides the most comprehensive, specific, and contextually rich information about Tesla, covers more unique developments than the other sources, puts them in broader context, and provides the most detailed stock information. While its citation system isn't perfect, it offers substantially more valuable and specific content than the alternatives. Custom GPT comes in second with decent specifics but less breadth, while Perplexity provides almost no useful Tesla-specific information. Interesting. So basically, according to this little unofficial government test here, which wasn't sponsored by government, by the way, we can see that they recommend using Gemini Gems. So if you need to create a custom ChatGPT-like environment, and we have 3 different companies making tools that basically do just that, the best one, according to Claude at least, is Gemini Gems from Google. So if you're going to do something like this, perhaps this is the best way to do it. One of the negatives about custom GPTs is the fact that you have to pay for being able to create custom GPTs. So they're not free. You can use them for free, but you cannot create them and edit them for free. So that's a huge plus for other companies. If you go with the free versions, then it says clear winner is Gemini Gems. So that would be probably my recommendation as well in terms of what to use if you want to settle on something specific. I created a lot of custom GPTs and they did the job pretty well. At one point in time, they stopped generating images for some reason, but now Google has this new way to generate images, even though I don't think they have all the bugs worked out yet in terms of custom GPTs using images. But I'm sure they will. All of these things are works in progress. Everything that I'm showing you here is probably going to be outdated in a month. Take it with a grain of salt there, but it is what it is right now, and hopefully it gives you some ideas about how you can use them for your own purposes, and I definitely recommend using them. There's no question about it. But that said, feel free to leave some comments or questions below. If you like this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe. If you don't like it, simply share it. Until next time, I'm still Oleg.